Maybe we should just begin with you, Aaron Chiriot. Good morning.
Good morning,
Yes, and looking at this front page of the Daily Nation today, maybe we can chime in. Of course, we've been eagerly waiting for this particular moment. What is your expectation today?
Well, thank you, Dibal. Good morning to our viewers. Before I answer your question, Dibal, allow me to focus on the picture that you've given
Yes,
attention.
this is West Pokot, of course.
The issue in West Pokot, it's a very tragic happening. So far, I think from the reports from the county government yesterday is that slightly over 60 people have lost their lives. I was there on Sunday with the leaders.
Excuse me.
I was in this particular place on Sunday with the leaders from the region, just assessing the situation, offering the assistance that we could, and trying to see what could be done to alleviate the suffering that is ongoing.
Yes.
So I send my condolences to the families of those who lost their loved ones. Particularly, there's a gentleman that I met who was completely devastated with his wife, a gentleman known as Mr. Capel, who before this tragedy was a happy family of
7 children. 7? Was it
10,
7 or 10?
8 children, then the father and the mother. But now they are left with only one child. 7 of them were swept away by this incident. It was really beaten. You can only pray that they get the strength to face life again after such tragic happenings. Of course, I must also appreciate that government is trying, both national and county, to see how they can solve this particular situation so that you don't have, because even as we speak right now, Dibal, the danger of this event occurring is still imminent, because people are still living on the higher parts of this valley, and the rain is not reducing.
Yes.
Therefore, we continue to plead with people who live on those dangerous places that have been marked as possible areas that the landslides may occur, to vacate, and perhaps maybe a coordinated team by county and national government to see how it can resettle these people in safer grounds. So then, secondly, I will come to the story.
Let's just not go back to the BBI. All of us actually can get introductory remarks and express also their condolences and sympathy for the people of West Pokot. Dr. Esoli, good morning.
Yes, good morning. I would also like to join Senator Aaron in sending my deep felt condolences to the families in West Pokot who have lost their loved ones. And especially, I've been following West Pokot very closely because of our friendship with the governor there.
Yes.
And he has really been trying to transform the livelihood of his people. And this tragedy, I'm sure, really pulls back his intents of what he was doing for his people. It is really tragic, and I would also add my voice to urge those people still in that area that's prone to landslides to move to safer ground. And I know that it's difficult because even evacuation is very difficult because you don't know where to go and when the landslide will occur again. So it's been very difficult to access these people who are affected. But I urge the teams that are involved in this rescue operation to move diligently and ensure that they evacuate as many people as they can possibly do, so that we don't continue losing more lives in West Pokot.
Right, thank you. Tina Mola, good morning.
Good morning, and good morning, viewers. I think it's a mixed morning. First is to condole with the people of West Pokot. It's a real tragedy, and seeing how some of the families have been affected, one really feels it. Incidentally, these rains have come with winds which have affected many places. In my own constituency, they've blown roofs of families and churches and schools, and it's just a real tragedy. We are really kept on our toes. I like the hands-on approach that the governor, Professor Lunyangapuo, appears to have adopted. I also think the intervention by government, national government, is to be commended, because I think, unlike other tragedies, they were
Quick off the
they've
mark.
been much quicker on this one, and it is quite impressive. But I pray that we do not suffer any more loss of lives, not just in West Pokot, but in other areas. I saw in Muranga there were also some such landslides. But it's mixed, because I also want to congratulate the starlets for winning the Sekafa 2019 tournament. I mean, we are an interesting nation. We are a nation where our athletes do very well, but they receive very little support. More of the support is on football, where we never seem to move anywhere. And much of that support is usually for the men's football, where we don't move at all. I think we really now need to commend the SACAFA, the starlets, and encourage them, because if our men can't do it, let at least our girls do it. And I commend them heavily.
Thank you very much. Let's hear from Kimani Matangi.
Yes, Dibala, I say good morning to our viewers, and also take the chance to condole with the people of West Pokot. Most of the people of West Pokot and their leaders are my personal friends. I've had an opportunity to visit with them and the people on quite a few occasions when I'm serving as a member of the Public Accounts Committee and also as a chairperson of Roads and Infrastructure. And Dibal, maybe one thing that our viewers might want to understand is why this tragedy, for example, in Pokot. And because Pokot is primarily a dry area, yes. People are forced to settle near rivers where they can access water. Even if it's a season one, people tend to settle around there so that they can access water. And so when floods occur, yes. They're most likely to be affected. And because of the terrain, West Pokot is largely a hilly area, so they settle down. And maybe when saying that, I would want to be speaking to the question of one, in county governments, there is a provision for having determined by the county government a kitty that they call an emergency fund, which is supposed to address such issues. And that can be either increased or decreased according to the assessment of the county government itself as to what inherent or possible emergencies may occur to their people. And I remember one time here in Kiambu we had a landslide, and by then the county government was struggling because they didn't have this fund in place so that they can be able to take immediate measures. And I think that's one thing that we need to be saying, because Dibal, even as we speak to this, I think the key thing is preparedness all the time. I mean, that's what we should be saying to our county governors. Not all of them. You've heard from the comments from my colleagues here. These landslides were so common, they have been very common in Moranga. Who thought they would go to West Pokot? Now from West Pokot, they came to Kiambu. And so we would want to be urging our governors to be prepared. In Wajir, last week, remember, houses were being swept in a similar fashion. Just the other day, there was a report of a big team from one of the churches that also perished here in Hellsgate. And what we'll be saying is I think preparedness is a very key aspect of addressing these tragedies, because even after what has happened in West Pokot, the question on the governor's mind, who is my friend, and who I agree is quite hands-on, should be what remedial measures is he going to take now so that doesn't recur. And lastly, allow me to say, I think that the question of global climate change is something that we all must embrace and start dealing with. Because if we do not address it also at national government policy level, so that we would be saying, what is it that we are doing to join the rest of the world in mitigating the effects of global warming? Who earlier, Dibal, in the history of this country, would have thought that a place like Pokot is one of the places to suffer this kind of thing? And what I'm saying is that I think in our policy, in our participation in global events, we have to take a more firm and demonstrative role in the attributes and effects of global warming and what we should do to help the rest of the world to deal with it.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, let's hear from Boni Khalwale. But do you think from one assessment this could be avoided if we had an early warning detection and then people are advised to evacuate earlier, because of course the rains are coming and people now should be preparing to evacuate? Did we in a way miss the mark from your own assessment, Jacob Medio?
No, I don't think we missed the mark. I think what has happened, this has been long coming. world over, especially arising from what Senator Matangi has said.
It's been long coming, but I'm just asking if you have a very robust system, especially from the meteorological department. Do you think maybe we should have advised the residents of West Pokot to evacuate earlier?
Well, you know, people from our meteorological department have always missed the mark all the time. So I don't even think we have one that we could be telling Kenyans of in the morning. I saw this, you know, BBC.
But I don't think that is essentially true, because I think they've been on the spot lately with very good, predictions about the weather. If you've been following what they have been actually issuing as a statement.
I've actually been following, and you're saying lately. Those are your own words, lately. It means for 60 years they've been not doing very well. But what I'm saying is, I think Senator Matangi has said it correctly, that changes, climatic changes over the years. I mean, this is a problem. The picture you have on the screen is a picture of deforestation. You know, and I want to plead with my good friend, Governor Olenyagapu, that I think his next immediate step, because I know him as a doer, would be to do a lot of tree planting. I think this is what we must embrace, because it's all about climate change. Imagine we are here this morning, Dibal, sending condolences, and I do,
yes,
to the death of 60 people. That's not a small thing. I think we should value each and every life. And I want to agree with my brother Ochinde Amolo that I think the government, for the first time, we have seen on-the-spot reaction. And I think we need to all put our efforts together and do something. It is not only in West Pokot. What is happening in Taita Taveta is equally bad. Again, a result of deforestation. Careless human behavior. Just careless human behavior.
Thank you. Yeah. Right, Boni Khalwale, good to see you. Good morning.
Good morning to you. Like my colleagues, I want to pay my heartfelt condolences to all the people who are affected. What Kenyans are going to see is, and it has already begun,
yes,
is condolences and then activities mainly limited to humanitarian relief. And it is going to end there in just a matter of time, humanitarian relief. But that is not where the national conversation should be. It should be on the national land tenure policy. In just about every corner of this country, we have got unplanned settlements. It's important that people remember, as clearly tabulated by my brother Wamatangi, all the way from Ranga and everywhere, including in Kakamega, where we had such a landslide in Hobasari, that Parliament and the National Executive should now come out with a clear land tenure policy. Very important. What do I mean? I mean that these people who are settled in those dangerous places,
yes,
are settling there because we have a useless policy in this country that says every adult must have a piece of land. People must be pulled, family, and settled in places where government can put amenities, including water, schools, hospitals, and whatnot, and then those dangerous places, nobody is found.
But which policy is this that we're not privy to? Maybe I am not.
You're not?
Yes.
If you go back to Emuhaya, your home, you'll find that your grandparents subdivided your great-grandparents' land, and your parents have done the same to your father, and you and your brother were expecting to do the same. But because that is a policy that does not speak to what has led to modernization in the Western world. In the Western world, you go to even small countries like Netherlands. They have preserved the environment so well because People are taken from villages to a particular town, and they create a town there, and the rest of the land is left either for afforestation or for planned large-scale farming. That is where we should be going. Anything else is just humanitarian relief. It does not speak to the solution. Tell me, when the same government uses the same voice and resources to ask people to move away from those dangerous places, why can't the same government, in the same vein, use the same strength to insist that nobody will go to that place by simply saying these places are earmarked for development?
Yes.
I want to agree with my brother Jaco Emilio that the governor should focus on growing trees. That is true. But the kind of budget Governor Nyangapuo has, he can only do that much. But if we had a clear policy that speaks to this, then it is the national government. And you know, this happening at a time when the government has got housing as one of the big agenda 4 issues, it is a time for them it to be accompanied by a proper land policy, tenure policy that will enable those houses to be consolidated in designated places.
Right,
by
thank you.
authorities. I want to finish by congratulating the Deputy President for having beaten the weather that had defeated the entire Interior Ministry to penetrate West Pokot, but he went there. How he did it, I think he should find time to address Kenyans on that achievement. I don't know, Cheriot, since you were there, how did you break through? Wamatiangi couldn't. I saw people, not Wamatiangi, Matiangi.
I thought Wamatiangi has a Learjet, baby. Yeah?
Was Ruto a pilot?
Even Cheriot now is finding it hard to actually tell us how he
Cheriot,
penetrated.
you must answer me. I don't want you to answer me.
I think it was power play, but we shouldn't focus on it.
What do you mean he used a power play?
It is a symptomatic dysfunction within Jubilee, which is very unfortunate.
Whatever that means.
So symptomatic dysfunction within Jubilee, what do you exactly mean? It means this was a deliberate dysfunction.
Of course. That is a
Why
story.
will it be a deliberate dysfunction when we know there's this plight in West Pokot? I mean, every Kenyan, despite the fact that we are divided or pulling on one side politically,
those
we
who are
should
there,
unite to mourn with West Pokot.
I didn't want to go to this story, but now that you have prompted me, and I think we owe it to our viewers on many occasions to explain when such things happen, is that basically what happened is that I hear from the people who are on ground that the first people to get there were, I think, 2 permanent secretaries. The PS in charge of
Principal secretaries.
devolution, a gentleman called Makeup Powon, and this one for emergency services, I think Charles Sunkuli. And they were expecting the cabinet ministers to arrive there. That is CS Matiangi and CS Eugene. But I think when they heard that another guest had arrived ahead of them, they decided to take solace somewhere in the bush until later on in the evening when they resurfaced. So it tells you, I don't know what was their motivation.
So that is not really factual. You cannot substantiate, what you're really saying. It's a hearsay. You hear from the ground. So, yes.
Seriously, we should keep this debate at a certain decent level, not at the level of sycophantic praises of the DP as if he's a pilot or a driver, that he arrived fast, that, really. We've all commended the national government effort. We've commended the county government effort. Can't we keep this discussion at a certain decent, verifiable level?
I agree with you, so that we don't really take political expediencies with the tragedy of other people, the plight of other people on the ground as well. You agree with me, Boni Khalwale?
Having said that, I have always said, people are entitled to their own opinions. So when I find educated people, people who I expect to respect other people, find time on such a program to say sycophantic, I ask myself, what is this feather that Amolo has that stands out for national duties that he has delivered for this country. When we make statement, Amolo, they are well thought out. It's not sycophantic. We have worked for this country, and we are still working for it.
All right.
You do your bit, make your minds, make your opinion,
thank you.
but don't reduce it into
when we start on that tangent, I know we'll now get
lot of
personal.
rubbish.